Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Phone, a Korean horror film from 2002. After writing a series of articles about a scandal, a journalist receives threatening phone calls, so she subsequently changes her phone number. But that only leads to worse matters when her best friend's little daughter answers the phone and becomes traumatized by what she hears on the other end. Now, our protagonist in this film, played very nicely by Ha Ji-won, is one of the spunkier lead heroines you're going to see in a Korean ghost film, and this is a ghost film. Very early on, her outgoing personality is established, and she's a very likable character. Even her opening scene in the gym, shows her running especially hard on the treadmill. Now, most viewers may not take much out of that scene, but I thought it was kind of visually impactful how hard her workout was, and I thought it gave a little bit of a hint regarding our protagonist's mentality. And then she receives some harassing phone calls by a stalker, but she talks back to this guy with attitude and even drives into oncoming traffic to escape him. She really does not take crap from bad people, and I like that. She's also quite funny. Look out for the piano playing scene early on, which I always, every time I watch this movie, I laugh at that one. But this movie was one of the earlier examples of what made me a fan of this actress. Although her choice in projects over the years is kind of hit or miss to say the least, but I've always liked her. Now, all of the acting in Phone is pretty strong. The most memorable performance of the entire film, believe it or not, is the little girl, played by Yoon So-woo. She contributes one of the most convincingly psychotic child performances in horror film history. This is a historic performance, and I'm not exaggerating or overstating this. She's better than 95% of child actors you'll ever see in a horror film, or any film for that matter. I mean, just in terms of pure intensity, this little girl brings it. I'm not sure how she got so worked up before acting in these scenes, but it's so impactful the way she acts. It's a highlight. Now, most surprisingly, this little actress stopped acting in the mid-2000s and has not yet returned to the industry. There are occasions where, child actors, at least in Korea, will take some years off. After they finish their schooling years, maybe they go to an arts academy, and after they graduate, they'll return to the industry. Lee Si-young is one example of this, the actress from When I Turned 9. Great film, by the way. But it doesn't feel like this actress did that. She has no credits subsequent to the mid-2000s, so hopefully we'll see her again. Sometimes an actress will pop up later on, and she's got the goods in Phone, that's for sure. The actress who plays Jin Hee, the character, is also quite good in this, Choi Ji-yeon. Now, needless to say, the premise of this film, it's been done before, all right? A curse transferred by phone, right? Really a possession transferred by phone. But, I remember when I saw this in my local Blockbuster, I was just perusing the horror aisle way back in the day, and I rolled my eyes when I saw the title. I'm like, Phone? Really? Phone? Now, you couldn't come up with a better English title. It's like these dudes were distributing this film or something. Hey, there's this movie. This little girl gets possessed by a phone call. What should we call it? Phone? How long did it take to come up with that title? 5 seconds? So yeah, but still, don't let the title fool you. But again, remember this: Phone was still kind of early on in this Asian horror boom in the West, because it did come after Ring, but it came before One Missed Call. All right, so, but in any case, it does have some cliche elements to it, but the storyline goes into some unexpected territory. I do think that the story in this film in particular is underappreciated. A lot of people just throw this in with One Missed Call and stuff like that, as just being a cash grab type film. I don't think that's the case. I mean, the opening half, nothing too special in terms of story, but the second half has more complexity to it, and it's well executed. There are a few little twists I did not see coming, even in regard to the lead character. And the story is, I think, one of the better aspects of Phone, in my opinion. I like it. Scare tactics are numerous, still managed to produce some effective, thrilling moments, again, during the second half. Similar to the story, the opening half is pretty good, nothing particularly memorable, but it ramps up later on. The opening scare in the elevator is basic stuff, although it always makes me wince when the girl's like clawing at the elevator wall and her nails crack. That type of stuff gets to me. So it's some decent cringe stuff early. There are some ghostly images that work. There's a scene that's pretty striking in its imagery with basically like a nightmare scene where the ghost is like sitting on a bed and the hair is so long it like drags all the way out to the middle of the bedroom, which I thought was pretty cool. You know how they like their black hair in some of these Asian ghost films. But the scares become more intense later on, and the little girl's hysterical behavior adds to the tension. There's one scene at the top of a staircase that's actually probably the best scene of the entire film, and it's pretty tense and pretty shocking what happens. So I think the horror scenes do satisfy in this. One criticism I would make regarding the horror is that the very end scene, I like it, but it's not as good as some of the scenes that came before it in terms of the scares. So, the entire final 20 to 30 minutes is basically a series of like climaxes, really. But still, not a big deal that the very end is a little bit of a downer. But I do feel like the final scare of the film could have lasted maybe a bit longer and been a little bit more creative. Now, this was directed by An Byung-ki, who also directed Nightmare, APT, and the Bunshin Saba films. Now, I think Phone is his best film. It's his most purely entertaining film, I think, for sure. And it's the one that I rewatch the most often. Now, I do recommend Phone. I recommend it. Like I said, back in the day, I was totally surprised at how entertaining it was, given the generic title. And I think it holds up even today. I just watched it a few nights ago. I think it holds up just like it did back in the day. But keep in mind, I enjoy this film more than most people do. All right, so go in with reasonable expectations. It has some familiar elements to it, but the execution is solid. It is available on DVD, probably the easiest way you could find it, and it's a pretty cheap DVD as well. So check it out if you like, Asian ghost films. And as always, we will see you next time.